Now we have a
Can you
person.
give me the permission, Dr. Ike, to quickly appreciate all the
Yes.
dignitaries that are on our platform? Ambassador
Sure.
Professor David Borandia Aye, thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Professor Charles Ebora, thank you, sir, for joining in. Mr. Promise Ibrahim, thank you so much. And every other person I've not mentioned your name, we will keep on appreciating you for joining us in this masterclass, because we are here to learn together, share together, and grow together. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ike.
Thank you so much. And now we move on to another very, very, what do I say? Something, whatever he speaks, it comes straight from the heart. No mincing of words, calling a spade, honest, to the point, succinct, and hitting whatever the problem is. He has a solution for it, and he gives it to us very effortlessly. I think that is his charisma. So I'm talking about our very own Dr. TP Sasi Kumar, all the way from India. He is a life mentor, a space scientist, an educationalist, a spiritual director, a motivational speaker, and an author of Life of Love, Rhythm of Life, Life Made Simple. And what else do I say? Once he starts speaking, he makes you see that, there is so much more there is to learn from life. That is a kind of knowledge, Gyanam. I think his foundation is also known as Gyanam, and I think Gyan in India, Gyan in Hindi means knowledge, and that is exactly what he's trying to do. So, a big welcome to you, Dr. TPS, and Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, and thank you, both sisters, Alka, for the kindness of introducing like this, and as always, my sister Elizabeth from UK, who is the reason for all this. When Queen Elizabeth asked me the title, I said no problem. Because there was one question, whether will you speak, and the next one was topic. When I said no problem, probably did you get confused saying that a talk is required? I said no problem.
I was initially.
I knew.
But I just said, well,
Yeah,
you
but
know what you want to say.
again asked me, give me a topic. I said no problem. Because I have seen just now, my sister Alka also said, whenever there is a problem, Dr. TPS gives a solution. But today I am going to say, there is no problem. Actually, there is no problem in the world which is permanent, which is only temporary. Thinking about problem which is going to come, and thinking about a problem even after solving it, is the biggest problem. Everybody is good in talking about, I was not having this, I was not having that, and today I am thinking of what I will have. So forget what is present. I was so thrilled and waiting for my brother Dr. Raghunath to ask me how many contacts Dr. TPS has. Luckily, he didn't ask me. I'll tell you, on my phone, I've got more than 100,000 of contacts. And somebody spoke to me yesterday. I'm going to Bombay tomorrow for 3 days. Somebody spoke to me. He wants my biodata to introduce me. Then I said, we already know each other. He said, no, I am talking to you first time. I said, no. On 2020 August 6th, you attended my session. So there my details were. So all these reading details are useless, because nobody even remember who is this fellow who presented. And I told him 1 or 2 points which I spoke to him, and on clarification, he came back to me. And that date and the video which is there on my YouTube also, I gave him as a message and sent and told him, oh, you are that person. So they don't care the name. What is matter is not who is the master and what is the class he is given. That is what probably the eye has to go. I loved it. I have taken a beautiful note on whatever he was mentioning, Professor Raghunath. So that eye has to go. Most of the problem in this world is because I is important. If you don't have that ego, there is no problem. What we want in life, it's a big question. Each one of us aspire to get something in this world. But how do you get it? Today assume, okay, now there is no point in saying I have 1 lakh. And then how do you keep the track of people? I have got indexed most of the names. So it's very easy for me to associate people with the activity, associate it with where, when, what, and how I had an interaction with them, what context they spoke. These all becomes a prefix for me on the names. I deal with large data because my general job was in space department acquiring data, and when we get satellite data, it looks almost the same every terrain. So it is not topology, it is the toponyms, the names of the place, the names of events, what happened. And today, same date, May 6th, 2021, what I did, 2020, what I did, 2019, 18, 17, go up to 10 years, what I was doing, because that's digitally available data with me. I have a record and then I keep track of it because I have a beautiful indexing system. Suppose you have large data and you don't know how to index them, you don't know how to table them, you don't know how to make them into a graph to analyze. The data looks so huge and confuse you. So decluttering is essential for people who wanted to handle large data. It could be statistics, it could be mathematics, whichever subject you wanted to do. That's all my subject. So any problem to solve, you need to declutter it. Create into smaller pieces. For what purpose? To perform the best. How do you make that? That is the attitude which people should have. And that which you have is called internal. Suppose you want to get it very clear, write performance P is equal to attitude A plus skill S plus environment. You need to have good environment. So that's an external object. You need to have a good skill. That is your supportive parameter. And under I, attitude, you can write it is internal. Under the skill, you can write it is supportive. Under the environment, you can write it as external. So your internal E, how react to the external depends on the supportive parameter which you have. And how do you get that supportive parameter? It can be a nature. And that nature can be your body language. The nature can be the way you react to people. But how do you improvise? That's what we are talking about. In the whole discussions which we have today is the mindset transformation. Mindset transformation is not a nature character transformation. It's only a behavior transformation. So how do you change the behavior transformation? That behavior transformation which is beneficial for you gets you into a greater and larger growth. But that doesn't, see, I have small corrections on most of the people talk. I am also a master of MS in psychotherapy and counseling. There is no point in having a good soft skill unless you have content inside that, unless you have deep rooted knowledge inside that. So that adds your soft skill along with a hard skill. And how do you get that hard skill? The values which you have, the role which you are playing in the society, and a larger vision about your goal. So how do you make your behavior balance with no problems in the world? A credible value system which you have, the wisdom, along with a specific role. When I come to this platform to talk, I am 100% sure I am talking about a mindset transformation, and I have a message to speak, and that has to have sufficient content which is derived from the thoughts which I have today, and therefore that becomes original, and I am very much credited by the words which I am using, so that I feel proud that I can edit it and put it onto my YouTube and say, oh, this is what I spoke, and it has values inside. I am sure that is why I see most of the time when I post, immediately my sister Elizabeth picks it up and posts it onto her. No, I am following, and I say, thank you for this opportunity, because the platform gives me a platform wherein that's a supportive system, and that supportive system gives me a process of thinking, and that internal which I have, which I am giving it to outside, is what is the role which I am playing, and I have a very specific goal, and the role, goal, and the values go into deep. How do you get it? You cannot get it just like that by polishing. Every stone cannot be polished. It can be polished to some extent, to an extent in which environment you have to polish also to be known. What tool is to be used for polishing? As you have a big stone, to break it, you must have the skill of breaking. It is not hard work, it is smart work. You have to be in the real hands of the artisan so that it gets the shape. Therefore, I am going to be little deeper. I think there is no point in talking superficial, because we are in the master class. I love to call this not as a master class, it's a mastery class. The master speaks, it becomes a master class. The class becomes a master, it becomes a mastery class. Right? So it doesn't matter who speaks. The content has to be so deep so that people understand much higher than what they had while joining. So I am taking it to the deep rooted philosophy of Bharatiya Indian Shastram. Many people heard the word Veda, which says that the knowledge in India. But there are a lot of Upaveda, subsidiary knowledge systems, and one of them is Ayurveda. It's also part of the Indian traditional Vedic knowledge, which is the supplementary knowledge added to Vedas. And that describes people, including Bhagavad Gita. You can listen to Rajasic, Sattvic, Tamasic, the basic character of people, the nature, values, the internal, and the attitude which I am saying. It is deep rooted in your every cell, every DNA. So it is not that you can polish it outside. But then what happens sometime when you react to somebody, you will show your real face. And they will say, now I will show my real face. That means until that, you are showing a artificial face. That doesn't make you a real transformation. It's only polishing transformation to show. It is only showing, not being. There is a big difference between showing and being. In toughest time, how do you behave? That will show your strength. And that time you must say, when there is no problem, you can say no problem. When the real problem comes, what do you react and how do you say? Oh, you say, I am in a problem. I am in a problem. That's a beautiful English word. Probably must have used maximum number of times in the world. I am in a big problem. I keep asking, is there any problem bigger than you? You are bigger or your problem is bigger. And if you think your problem is bigger than you, you can say, I am in a problem, because the problem is bigger, you are inside that. I don't think any problem is bigger than anyone. So that English is wrong. How do you correct that? Don't say, I am in a problem. You say, problem is in me. Very simple. There is no problem which is bigger than me. Every problem is smaller than me. And therefore, understand, problem is in me. It is not an external problem. It's only an internal problem. And how do you get that problem solved? Either you can be sattvic. Ignore it. Don't worry. Let it happen. What is rajasic? React to that. Fight it out. What is tamasic? Just sleep. Forget about it. Because you did not understand. Somebody scolded me, but I don't understand their language. So what do? I smile at it. I think he is going to make me a better person by saying something, or he is patting me on back. So I just smile because I don't know. So how do you react to this? Ayurveda talks about it as Vata, Pitta, Kapha. There is only 3 diseases in the world. Suppose somebody is scolding me. Why is he scolding me? Not because I am bad, because he is bad. Why somebody is using bad words to me? Because he stored a lot of bad words. Suppose somebody is being very rude and using bad words, how does it matter to me? He has bad words. His dictionary is full of bad words. So who is bad? I am bad who is hearing the scolding, or the person who is using those words. Actually, a public who is looking at that should see that the person who is scolding is bad, not the person who is hearing the bad words. So look from different perspective. So you can be in a problem physically. But again, Indians' traditional knowledge says it is only feeling cold, feeling hot, feeling pain. Everything is feeling. Actually, there is no pain. I am feeling the pain. I am feeling hot. Hyderabad is too hot. I am feeling it is hot. That's it. So it's all inside your manas, inside your mind. So how do you clean it out? Very simple. You have to think that there is no problem. I remember long back, 10 years back, I wrote an article in Delhi when I was saying people say too cold. I say feeling cold is only a feeling. Actually, there is nothing absolute which is called cold or hot. It is only relative. In India, when the temperature goes below 13 degree, 14 degree, people keep saying, oh, so cold, no? But then I must ask them to go to London and then feel the cold. Then they will say, oh, India is too hot. Correct? If somebody is feeling 30 degree in Hyderabad is too hot, you must send them to Rajasthan, desert. Then you will understand, oh, Hyderabad is very chill. And I keep saying the way people are greeting. When Dr. Elizabeth addressed me as sir, I said, I don't like it. I said it's not a problem because her background, nature, the style is entirely different. But when Kavita said immediately, I said, don't use it. Got it? We don't know how to greet people. How are you? I'll say, yeah, cool. Yeah, in a summer, if somebody says, I am cool, that is wonderful, right? But in a winter, if somebody says, I am cool, that means there is some problem in you. So, the cool is not the problem. And when somebody greeted me yesterday and said, warm welcome in a program, I said, it is too hot here. Again, you are making me to be a warm welcome. I want a chill welcome, I said. See, you don't even realize the word what you are using, because we don't add value to that. It is a system which created warm welcome, be cool, such words. But we use it in a different place and people have no problem. Why you don't have problem? Because you are not thinking about the inner content of the words what they are using. So if you don't understand the language, intellectually you are not higher, some of the problems will be solved. Intellectually you be little higher, then the problem comes. That's why today most of the people react to situations because they are thinking. If somebody is not thinking, they don't react, for them there is no problem. So who has problems? People who think a lot has problems. The society is not understood. Whatever happens in some other part of the world, I don't care because I am not thinking about them. So biggest problem is thinking. So how do you get rid of problems? Instead of thinking on problems, convert them into thinking of solutions. It is thinking what creates problem. But convert the thinking from the problem end to the solution end. Then it becomes so innovative, creative. You have your own words to talk about the things. So that means you should have a societal role, you should have a spiritual role, and your all indriyas should work perfectly well. Your eye, ear, nose, tongue, skin, everything should get reacted to situations. It connected to the way in which I am produced, the way in which everyone is produced. The whole world is produced out of the earth, water, fire, air, ether. We call it as Panchabhutas, 5 elements which are responsible for creating the whole world, the whole globe. And all the solutions with these 5 elements can be found out. That is why in Ayurveda, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, 3 doshas or 3 elements which are responsible for diseases. Understand, every problem which we have physically or emotionally or mentally, socially is called disease. Disease, not in ease. Very simple, not in ease. How do you create ease? Solve the problem. How do you solve the problem? Understand the cause for the problem is 5 elements. How do you balance these 5 elements? Suppose for example Vata. You can write in case if you want to learn this. Vata is that numbness in you which don't react to situations. That is attributed by the elements of air and space. Such people are not grounded. They don't drink water. They have a lot of problems. And Pitta is, you have energy but you don't do it. That is contributed by the water and the fire. Even if they drink water, immediately the stomach burns and it becomes fire. Because it's burning, always burning. Fire is more predominant there. The other one is Kapha. What happens to Kapha? You are on the earth and the water. Therefore, you will have a lot of respiratory problems. When you have respiratory problem, your breathing will not be good. When your breathing is not good, everything around you becomes a problem. Imagine if somebody is holding your nose and mouth and they don't allow you to breathe, what will happen? Every small issue becomes a problem for you. Suppose you are sitting somewhere and somebody asks you what is the time. You say, I cannot tell you time. Understand, it is not his problem. He is a person with a kapha problem. He has got some breathing problem. Suppose somebody has a breathing problem, you ask something, will you be able to answer it? He will not be able to answer. So every problem is the nature created problems. So you need to have a good environment. You need to have a good attitude. And you need to improve your supportive system, which is called a skill. The skill is to face the problems or create solutions for the problems or dissolve the problems, clutter the problems into smaller ones, cluster it out and then say segregate them and find the root cause and then give a solution. Not make it too complex. I can go on and on. I think it's time for me to stop. If there could be some few questions, I'll be very glad to answer. That's it.
Okay, question time. Anybody have a question? Because we would like to understand better and better by asking questions. If there are questions, you give us clarification. So if anybody has questions for DrTPS? DrTPS, can you please explain to us better about this fire and water? I just want to understand it more better.
See, Indian tradition, we have a periodic table, but it doesn't have too many elements. We have only 5 elements. First element is earth. And on earth only the water can stay. And on that you have what is fire. And then air. And then what you have is ether, the space. Anything in this world is connected to these 5 of them. Every element which you have, any component which you have, you split it, you will see where is it coming from. Every mineral comes from earth. So then you can subdivide. In periodic table also you have gaseous forms, different components. Very good, that is part of air. Right? Fire is light. There are different components of fire. Just before this program, I had another program. I was talking to a student who is talking about an environment problem solutions. Immediately they said, LED gives a beautiful solution for most of the energy problems. Everybody agrees today every light is being replaced by LED. And there was a physics teacher who was talking, yeah, that's wonderful. I said, you did not understand. What is the wavelength in which the LED is produced? It is not the visible region from 0.4 to 0.7. It is from 0.2 to 0.9, which is actually hazardous to your eyes. It looks bright. I don't know, I am sure anybody who goes to a textile shop will agree. With a huge number of LED lights that dress you when you select inside the room, it will become fantastic. But once you get into the sunlight, you will see, oh, this is the one which I selected. It was looking different there. That is just because the light makes your eye not to work properly. Suppose somebody is exposed to that for longer time, you will have lot of troubles for your eyes, because eye is only to get light from 0.4 to 0.7 in the visible region. Got it? So if you don't mix them into the right proper direction, the fire will create a problem for your eyes. The air will create problem for your eyes. So every indriya inside my body reacts in a style because my environment adds. What is environment? Environment is Panchabhuta. The other day I went to a farm. There was a big trouble for some tree plantations. I told these are all the things which you have to do. Every living being, every non-living being, every atmosphere, every energy need to be in harmony. The biggest problem in this world is that we are not in harmony with nature. That is the biggest problem. Most of the diseases, psychosomatic diseases, are called undefined diseases. That comes from the energy source outside. I remember in 2002, almost May, June time only, I wrote series of articles when I was doing my psychology study along with the Vastu solutions, the geobiology. You can look at any one of you like to have it, learn from geobiology. My book is there, which is called Seedling, Spiritual and Esoteric Energy, Dowsing and Healing. That's where I started studying the psychology, related that to the environment, and see how it influences every animal and human being around your life. So Panchabhuta is most important. That influences your physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual well-being.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Does anybody has any questions?
DrTPS,
Yeah.
the title of your class was "Problem is a Mindset."
Yeah,
No problem.
no problem.
So, if what do we replace problem with? Can you give us a word to replace? I mean, dash is a mindset
Actually,
that I mean, I want to say this to myself. I believe a lot in self-talk, for example. So what do I say? I won't say problem is a mindset. I'll say what? I'll say positivity is a mindset. What should I say? I mean,
actually the problem is in most of us wanted to have a synonym, antonym, Opposite to that, when I say positive, I am looking at negative. So for me, there is nothing called negative people in this world. There is no negative animal in this world.
Because you only view them, because you view
Yeah.
everything with positivity, which
Everything
is
is
wonderful.
positive. See, for example,
Yes,
there is a
that's
beautiful,
wonderful.
there is a beautiful example in Mahabharata war. During Mahabharata, the teacher asks all the students, get me the worst fellow and the best fellow in the world. One assignment was given. Get me the list of worst people and the best people in the world. List their names and then come to me tomorrow morning. The teacher gives assignments. You know, Duryodhana had no problem. Immediately he listed the large number of people. Everyone he knows around his world. Everybody is bad. And in the other list of good fellows, he had only one name, and that is Duryodhana. Because the worst fellow thinks everybody is bad in the world. Got it? And the other way, Dharmaputra came with one name in the worst list. And he said, I am the worst fellow. Actually, he is the best of the best in the world. He finds one small wrong thing in him. That he is coming. Assume that you have got a glass of water which is most purest water. You have a small drop of some small thing is good enough. You will say that is not good because it has got some dirt inside. The whole burthen is bad and the water is also bad. How do you find out something good in that? So this man comes back and says, everyone in the world is good except one me. I couldn't make my brothers as good as me. That's my badness. See, when I am good, I must always think that I am not able to give that same fragrance to somebody else. So we don't see, the problem is the biggest bad word in this world. There is no problem at all. That is why I said no problem. I am not saying
No problem.
no, there is no word called no problem. Why do we want a word problem itself? Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi. I think the whole world is in problem because it's my problem. See, there is a great somebody goes to a doctor and says, wherever I am touching, I have got a pain. Here also paining, here also paining, here also paining, here also paining. And you know the doctor what he did? He took his finger and then touched his body, doctor's body. Here also paining. The problem was the finger was paining. So wherever you touch it pains because your finger is paining. Understood? Got it?
Wonderful.
I got another best example. Some old man in our village, when he was conducting a marriage, he asked his son, go and find out where there is no electricity. We don't have electricity. So generally we used to have lamps, kerosene lamps. So he gives him a kerosene lamp and says, go and see where there is no light, keep that kerosene lamp there. So what he did is he went around everywhere and he found everywhere light is there. Because he is moving with the lamp. He comes back and says, there is no place for darkness. Everywhere light is there. That is because he is carrying light, right? So you have to be such a person. Carry positivity.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, then you never
This was
see.
witty. That's why I call you witty. This was witty brilliance.
See, I'll tell you, Alka, I have got a lot of jokes. I have a lot of jokes. 1 o'clock,
I know.
1 o'clock a Kerala train comes to Secunderabad. Exactly 1 o'clock was the time, arriving time. So most of the time in the early days when I have to go and receive somebody, I stay there. Invariably the announcement comes, the train is late by half an hour. After some time, again, just before the time of arrival, they will say 1 hour late. I keep scolding the stupid railway minister, prime minister is bad, divisional manager is mad, driver is not good, everything is bad. Why? Because I didn't have my lunch. That is my problem. Who asked you to not to have lunch and stay there? Did somebody ask you? You should have. And there is a beautiful place in the railway station. Lot of restaurants are there. There are beautiful people who can look at them, talk to them, enjoy with them. Instead of that, you are scolding all the fellows who are not anyway not going to respond to you. Are you not increasing your blood pressure? And which doesn't serve any purposes. So can't you say that there is no problem? Let the train come its own time. Let me enjoy until then. So what do? I'll tell you, Alka, I always keep a set of papers here. And all these papers are Sanskrit slokas. That's how I am putting my knowledge. So I write from the textbook, make a lot of slokas available, and then whenever I get free of time, assume that you have a webinar in which I wanted to spend my time. I will read this and learn. That's what I'm doing. So even if the webinar is delayed, I have no problem. Is there a problem in the world?
Wonderful.
Is there a problem in the world now?
So again, so it becomes your personal, the way you personally see it and view it.
Yeah.
Your attitude towards the thing.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, brilliant. It was brilliant. Terrific.
Yes, I just want to add, I just want to appreciate what Dr. TPS is saying. And I think the same things we need to apply to our relationship with others. Because human beings, naturally, we see the fault of others. We see their weakness. And we want to focus and treat them and treat them because of their, according to their weakness or their fault or their mistakes. We never see their good part of it. I mean, for example, in my marriage, it took a long while for me to understand that if I focus on the fault of my husband, we won't get to where we are today. Because we will always be saying, you are not good, you are not good on this, you are not good on this. But when I now started changing things around, for me personally, it works. Not that we are perfect, no one is perfect. But then we have that grace to see beyond the person, to see the positive side of that person. And I think what you just taught us today is also very good, because it applies to everything in our lives, either relationship or business or leadership. And I think that is what makes all this violence, this abuse, this war, because we see the vulnerability, the negative of people, the weakness of people, instead of us saying that, who cares if you're weak in one side? I still love you. Let's get on. And I've also noticed that our positivity can wipe away the negativity. And I also noticed that when you are positive in thinking and the way you react with people, or you see people, you perceive people, you will see that you love them more. And you will be able to add more value to them. So I think this principle is also very good in relationship. Thank you so much, sir.
Accept people as they are.
Exactly.
That's
Accept
the secret.
people as they are.
Wonderfully said.
Thank you.
And that was a good idea, making your small notes, or you could have a small notes diary or something and keep on jotting whatever you like. And whenever you get time, like you said, I think it's a good idea. Just go through your diary. Sometimes, you get an idea from there that sparks some kind of creativity in you, that just makes you say, hey, I want to do this. It's happened with me many times.
Alka, I don't write what the speaker is telling. But for every word, every functional message which he has, I have my reflections, and that's what I write.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I've got you, because I do the same.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Lovely. Dearest Queen, do we move forward? I mean, that was very powerful from our very own
It's
Dr.
just like this
TPS.
book that I have written, I think last year or so, which is, the title is The Love We Lost. And in that book, I was just trying to encourage how we can examine ourselves, examine the situation, and also examine the other part of it. So where you can see the differences and the similarities, where you can see the strength and the weakness. So, I've just practically written it in this. Like, for example, I have something like macro journal, where people can actually, because we are talking about the love that is lost. How can we regain it back? How can we build the relationship? How can we see or perceive others in different ways? And how can we also, in our own, see ourselves in people? Because, for example, you'll be surprised that our children, are the duplicate of us. So some of them, who you are, they will duplicate it. So when you see somebody that is not good, probably that is you. So maybe when you are correcting somebody, probably you are correcting yourself. So it's really good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Dr. Aika.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, so much of practical learning, and that too in a very fun, interactive way. This is brilliance. I love this. I'm sure all of us are enjoying ourselves.
Before we move on, let me appreciate Dr. TPS. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for everything you're doing, even before this time. And even this teaching is so valuable. And I'm glad that you were able to come and enlighten us and mentor us. Because I don't want to use teach. Teach is so common. But when you mentor people, you are doing it from your own experience, from your own knowledge, from your own wisdom. So I want to say thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Dr. TPS. Maybe I should.
Wonderful. So let's move on. May we move on now? All right.